All right. Hey, Coach, you're a Jersey guy, so,
Yes.
I got my club music in the background, you know what I mean? So
We're good. Tell you what, I've been to DJs once in my life, and it was with Jeff Halfley. It was the only time. I don't know if he will own that, but I can say that I've been to Parker House a bunch, but
Yes.
DJ once, and it was with Jeff Halfley. So,
and you definitely hit your head on the ceiling in the basement, whereas he probably did not. So that's, I get it. It's all good. We've all been there, Coach. That's for sure.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I've been to DJs way more than I've been to Parker House. So
that kind of tells you exactly
an idea how I grew up.
I get it.
It's all good. When you get down here to the Jersey Shore, where we have relocated to, shit, what have we been? Dave, we've been down here, since 2019?
I came down here in 20.
Yeah, because remember, you were doing that commute to Indian Hills for a little while.
2018, I came down. Yeah.
Yep, and I was 2019. So, dude, we've been down here way longer than we. Holy shit! Oh my god. I don't. Yeah, right. Our claim to fame is being North Jersey guys. Shit, that might be slowly and steadily. But
let me introduce our guest. We have Coach Mark Fabish. He's the head coach of Peddie School. But before he came to Peddie School, and which is one of the top prep schools in the country. Before he came there, though, he's been on quite a journey. He's office coordinator at Monmouth, at UPenn. He was at Columbia. He was a head coach. I think it was a year you were a head coach at Columbia. He played at the University of Pennsylvania. Did I get that correct? I think I did. Yeah. Because I remember Bergen Catholic was a pipeline to UPenn. So,
listen, Mr. Sultan's gonna love this. Gonna love this whole gig now.
Oh, yeah. That's right. You guys probably were there at the same time, right?
He's a year older. Yeah, for sure.
Older.
Yeah.
You're older.
We've had his son since he was figuring out what the hell he was gonna do. So he's always been a good dude.
Talk about a trajectory. He's been awesome.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. His son's been on a wild ride. It was a wild ride. But
we've been there through every bit of it.
That's the good thing. It worked out.
Hell yeah.
It's great to have you on. Obviously, your experience as a coach, you've been wildly successful. Coming to the prep school this is why we're really excited to talk to you, because it is different from being at the college level. And you see a lot of guys that go the opposite direction, high school to college. But you were such a high level coach, and coming back and coach your prep school, there's a lot that you're able to really impart on young people, which can be very, very helpful. And I think what's interesting about coaching, I want you to go into your your whole background, just in case I didn't do it justice. What I think is really interesting is that with football today, because it's changing so much, you see people like yourself at prep school. You see people like Bill Belichick, who is the NFL, going to college. I mean, who would have ever thought that, right? Yeah. So you're seeing a world that's changed so much in football that coaches are now going to places where they have an interest in being, not just where they aspire to go, as far as career advancement, but also where they want to be. And it may not be for their whole career, but it may be for a time period, but where they want to be and where they want to try out, which I think is really unique, because, when I was in college and you were in college, really the whole path was if you wanted to be a college coach, GA, boom, 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 follow that path. Now the paths are really, obviously Deion Sanders and Michael Vick taking it's so different, and it's I would
say Jackson
unpredictable. And there's good and there's bad with it. There's definitely good and there's bad with it. But I think overall, it's exciting. I don't know any other way to put it. It's exciting. Now, we've been on and we've talked, a ton about the negatives of things, a ton about the positives things. And it's easy always to go down the negative routes, but it really is a wild, wild time with respect to football in general, not just college football, but football in general. Talk a little bit about your journey, obviously, as a player and coach. and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me. I've had the opportunity to watch a bunch of your content and some of the interviews that you've had with some close friends of mine, and so it's fun to watch. And I know Derek has reached out a couple of times, and I've dodged him because I didn't think anybody wanted to hear my story, and so
I'm like a gnat, Coach. It's just, you keep swiping me off the plate and I just come back. It's all good, Coach. I get it. It's not personal. I get everybody's time is sacred, right? So you're just taking the time. I appreciate
the fact that you wanted to speak with me. And so I'm super appreciative that you guys are giving me the opportunity to visit with you both today. And obviously knowing both of you for a really long time, it makes it that much more fun and special. And so I appreciate it. Happy New Year to you and your families, and all the best for everybody in 2025. As far as my journey, I'll try and give you the Cliff Notes. I don't know if kids know what Cliff Notes are.
I don't think so.
They know what ChatGPT is. But,
yes, they do. They know real well.
Cliff Notes are the book copy, I guess, of ChatGPT, but I'm going to give it to you. I as you mentioned, Coach, I originally from Bergen County, ended up going to UPenn and really didn't know what I wanted to do. I played for a legendary coach at Bergen Catholic, Fred Stengel, who at the time I didn't know was teaching so many valuable lessons that, to this day, I call upon my experience as a player for him. And he would have us, if you wanted to, when you were in college, come back and work his camp in the summer. We thought we were making a ton of money. He'd give you a $50 check at the end of the week. And I thought I was breaking the bank. And so I kept coming back to do that. But, I think summer before my junior year, we were working the camp, and he said, what are you studying at UPenn, the Ivy League? What are you studying? And I said, history. He goes, forget that. You're going to be a coach. And I said, okay, whatever, on to the next drill. And it wasn't until I got into it that I remember him actually saying that to me. And I think he would claim that he does remember that in 1995, he did say that. I think there's no shot, but but he did say it, and I'll remember it to this day. And I don't know what made him say that to me. But it did stick. And when I graduated, I, like all of us, right, you have the aspirations of trying to play. And my senior year got cut short by an injury, and I still felt like there was something left in the tank. And so arena football was a little bit bigger then, late 90s. There were teams playing at the Meadowlands. There was a team playing in Madison Square Garden. There were teams playing up in Albany. And what they used to do was they would allow you to practice, not being under contract. If you signed a waiver and they needed practice players, you'd go and practice. So I did that, and then thought that was going to be, my way of continuing that journey. And while I was doing that, I started coaching at the high school level. I substitute taught and coached football and track at Don Bosco while I was chasing that dream under Jackie Moore before Coach Toll got there. That's how long ago this was. And so did
this
that.
Is when they were not the Don Bosco of Don Bosco days with Coach Toll. That's for sure. A lot of people don't know that, Coach. They really don't know the history of Bosco. Really kind of, officially started when he got there. And
no doubt about it.
It's totally different.
1999, 2000. I mean, he changed, and I credit Coach Stengel and Coach Toll together.
Yep.
Because without one of the like what they did to elevate the game in North Jersey.
Yep.
And obviously Coach Carthage and Coach Hansen. I mean,
100%. Those guys are all that Mount Rushmore of that foundation of what they built it to where Jersey got on a national level. Everybody knew Bergen Catholic a little bit. Nobody knew those other schools, right? And then those guys kind of just, even as much as they like to battle on the field, collectively together, really, in my eyes, put away their pride, right? And that kind of whatever for the good of the group. for the good
Oh my
of the
gosh.
state. And that's really kind of, so you were right in that transition era where those guys started to kind of, hey, this is something way bigger than it was.
I mean, that's the thing. You talk about, all right, they write books about the greatest generation. I mean, I played against Vito in the state championship game. I played Pop Warner against Dan Sabella. The all-county team in Bergen County in the fall of '92, the two quarterbacks were Vito and Danny Sabella, right? And played against Ralph Sinkyu, who's doing a great job over at Clifton. I mean, that was the era in which we played. And then, so I did Don Bosco for a year. And again, I promised the Cliff Notes. I don't know if we got a time cap on this thing.
No time cap.
You're good, Coach.
So I was coaching at Don Bosco. I was getting ready to do my second year there. Went to a Mets game with my dad. We would go every Sunday. Come out the tunnel. This is now, let's say, late July of '98. And out of the other tunnel adjacent comes a high school buddy of mine, and he was coaching at Del Barton. And I said, "Hey, what's going on?" He says, "I just got a job at Rutgers as a GA." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." He's like, "You got to check out this website." The internet was different back then. It wasn't Football Scoop. It was a website called K-Coach. It was check out kcoach.com. I check out kcoach.com that night, and Monmouth posted a job for a restricted earnings wide receiver coach. And my buddy who I ran into was Mike Bajakian. Mike Bajakian. And again, you talk about the greatest generation. Like Mike Bajakian went on to be, just got hired as the offensive coordinator at UMass, but prior to that was at Utah, Northwestern, Tampa Bay Bucks, Tennessee, Cincinnati. I mean, the people that he coached, Antonio Brown at Central Michigan, Travis Kelce at Cincinnati. I mean, just the who's who of NFL superstars. Jameis Winston with Tampa Bay. And so, long story endless, we'll go to an interview at Monmouth, not knowing, no prep. Now you go to interviews, you got to put a book together, you got to have cut-ups. I go down, I teach Coach Callahan and Rich Skrosky, who just two of my biggest mentors. I teach them some releases and did it with a little bit of energy and enthusiasm. And they offered me the job. I think, they weren't sure if I'd take the $5,000 a year job, but they gave me a pillow and they gave me a meal card and never looked back. And while I was at Monmouth, was able to climb the ladder a little bit and go from a receivers coach to quarterbacks to coordinator, and work alongside and coach some amazing people. Like starting with Kevin Callahan and I know Derek, you guys have had, and Coach Schuman, you guys have had Scott Van Zyl on here. Yep. Scott is a close friend, and Brian Gabriel, who's the offensive line coach there, and you look at what they're doing now with Jeff Gallo as the offensive coordinator. I had the opportunity to coach Jeff, work alongside him, and Coach Callahan's son, who was 6 years old when we were on the staff, is now one of the best.
Now he's the guy.
Oh my gosh, one of the best receivers coaches in the country. And when given the opportunity to bring some along to Columbia when we got there in 2015, Kev was one of the first people that I reached out to for a similar role that Coach Callahan provided for me back in 1998. And so had stayed at Monmouth for 10 years, 10 seasons, I believe, and just felt like I needed to. I didn't have kids. I had a girlfriend at the time who's now my wife, but I felt like I needed to see what else was out there. And Darren Rizzi reached out, who was at Rutgers, and another Bergen Catholic guy.
Yep.
Doing a pretty good job with the friggin' Saints right now. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get it, but damn.
I hope someone is going to be lucky to have him. He is a culture changer, a culture builder.
And he is fiery.
Oh, the best. He's the best. And so I go from learning from Coach Callahan to working for Darren Rizzi, and just talk about building a program. I mean, it was awesome. And so we spent 14 months at Rhodey, and again, worked alongside some amazing people. Tim Lukabu, who is the linebacker coach for the Carolina Panthers now. Ryan Crawford, who's working at the secondary at Harvard, Eddie Allen, who's a special teams coach at Rutgers, Roy Istvan, who's the offensive line coach for the Cleveland Browns, Chris Pinsent, who's the head coach at New Haven. This is all guys who were there just for 14 months that I was there. And obviously Darren Rizzi, who's the head coach of the New Orleans Saints right now. And so both
that Rhode Island staff.
Oh my gosh. Both Darren and I had the opportunity to leave within days of each other. One of the goals that I had getting into this profession was to get back to my alma mater. And that was one of the reasons for the change too, was to just grow my resume a little bit. And Monmouth was awesome. And, in hindsight, could have stayed there forever and would have loved every second of it once you see what's behind the curtain of the coaching profession. But had the opportunity to go back to Penn and just loved every second of that. And subsequently, Darren left 2 days later to be the head coach, or excuse me, to be assistant special teams with the Dolphins. And so, I think I might have, because he stayed on at Rutgers to work their bowl game, I might have worked at Rhodey longer than Darren did. Because we got there before he was able to start for a good 2 weeks while he stayed at Rutgers. But anyway, went from Penn, had a nice little run. We won 3 championships there, which was great. And our head coach retired, Al Bagnoli, and who I actually played for. He retired, and Columbia asked him to come out of retirement, and he asked me to come along with him. And again, just in the stage of my life, I wanted that challenge. I wanted to see if I could help be a part of change and build something. And so we went to Columbia, and they weren't doing great. And prior to us arriving, and it took us a little while. In our third year, we ended up winning 8 games, and we won 6 or 7 after that. And COVID hit, and we were without our players for 18 months during COVID, like no face-to-face from March of 2020 through September of 2021. We never saw them, and except for like this. And we came back and won 7 games in 21, which was in 21. Had another solid season in 22, and our head coach announced his retirement in August of 23. And so I was asked to lead the program for in an interim basis. And unfortunately, we didn't do well enough for that interim title to be dropped. And when they went outside, the new head coach decided not to retain a lot of us. And so that put me at a crossroads in my life, and kind of where we got to here, And
right.
So it was interesting. I mentioned going from Monmouth to Rhodey, had a girlfriend, no kids, to looking for a job for the first time in my career without having one, to having a wife, a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. And some opportunities presented themselves that I didn't know if I could see myself getting there and not looking right away.
Right.
And my kids, I'm not, it's not unique to say I love my kids, but there was part of my time at Penn when my first was born, and then at Columbia when we ultimately had both, was you're recruiting for traveling for recruiting. There's a lot of early mornings. There's a lot of late nights, a lot of missed games, right? Not being able to go to soccer on Saturday mornings, them not being able to come to my games because they had soccer or whatever it might be, basketball. And then to ask them to move somewhere for me to be looking for the next job.
Right.
Was something that I wasn't anxious to do. And so I saw that this job was posted here at Peddie, and came down for the interview and applied and came down from interview. And and really with the intention of I would love for my next job, this job, to be my last job. I'm 49 years old. I got a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. I want them to know their friends. Like, I don't want them to have to constantly be starting over. And that was something that was at the forefront of all of this. You know, I to be completely honest with you, I didn't look behind the curtain, to use the same cliche twice. I apologize. Limited vocabulary over here, but
that Penn education, coach.
Yeah, right. I didn't do a ton of homework on it other than what the place was. Like, I knew the Hun was good. You know, right. I knew there was a history with Chris Maleo here, having done an outstanding job, but didn't do a ton of research on the time that had gone on in the middle. I came to campus and I'm like, I could be here. You know, this is real. It's literally, we're halfway between New York City and Philadelphia. We're 1 hour either way. It's centrally located for our families. We're 45 minutes from the shore, right? I mean, it just made too much sense. And I said, I could do this. Like, I could build a program. And then I got here, I looked behind the curtain, saw that it wasn't in great shape. You know, I mean, and that's the reality of the situation. COVID hit the program hard, and not having played in 2020 to having to build back up at a place like this that has a very niche target pool. And so you got to work at it. You got to open your doors to the right people. And when you do, you'll be okay. But it wasn't in great shape. And so we didn't have a great year, but I tell you what, we built a culture this year that I couldn't be more proud of. You know, with limited numbers, we went toe to toe against some really, really good people. And in every game we played, you know, we play a full 48, you know, but for the first 24 of almost every game we played, it was super competitive. And then we got worn out. But we got some really talented individuals, and now it's my job with a normal admission cycle to try to get us to a place where we can be competitive for the full 48. And you know, I'm optimistic that we'll be able to do that. I apologize. That was a lot.
That was great. That was great background. See, that is the Ivy League education. Yeah. You were able to give us a really good full background.
Probably 26 years right there, Coach Schuman.
Yeah, that's it. But most of the guys are like, well, I'm at so now. That was phenomenal. So you know what's interesting? So Peddie School, and you mentioned Hun. Peddie School, do you guys have like the 5 post-grads?
We have 4.
4, okay.
4. And so like when I got here, it was the normal admission cycle for our schools. Like the application deadline's coming up January 15th. Admissions decisions go out March 10th. And then the answers on those admissions decisions are asked to be received by April 10th. So that's like the NLI, National Letter of Intent. Yeah, not NIL. That's like the day that everyone signs for if they're going to go to an independent school, would be April 10th. I got hired on, say, April 14th. And so there was a little bit of a gap in time where the returning players didn't know what was going to happen at Peddie. Who the head coach would be, if there would be a football program in the fall of 2024, with the low numbers that they had in the fall of 23. And so there were 5 or 6 super talented individuals that in that window of time decided to go elsewhere. And that was a gut punch to just have 5 kids that that would be able to help the program going, and we had to play against 3 of them this year.
Wow.
And so
it's really tough.
Yeah. And it was
like,
just,
dude, you should be in this color uniform, buddy. Like,
well, no question. And the relation, I mean, it wasn't awesome. And I get it. They were looking out for themselves, because why do you come to a school like this? Why do you explore this as an option? It's to prepare for what's next. It's to get ready for the next level. And if your senior year is at all in question and you're a parent, well,
exactly.
You gotta do what's right for you. You got to do what's best for you. So I empathize. I get it. But my whole thing that I kept telling them was, I'm not here to not coach, right? I'm not hired to not coach. And so I hope that that's indicative of what we're going to be. And so I put my head down and I recruited, and not going to lie to you guys. We had single digit numbers, middle of April a year ago. And we got to a point where we were close to 30 this year. We lined up our last 3 games, mid-20s, against Pennington, Hun, and Blair. And like I said, it was 14-6 midway through the second quarter of our Hun game. And it was awesome. You know, our kids battle. Our kids compete. And now, again, with a normal admission cycle, again, with 4 post-grads, bringing in a strong 9th grade class, which is always a good part of this. And then trying to get some reclass juniors, which is where a lot of these schools, well, I'm not going to talk about anything else, where we fortify our roster is with the reclass kids.
Yeah.
You develop those that you have, you cash in on as many of the post-grads as possible. And we had 4 phenomenal young men decide to come play for us this year. Right. And so, and then we had 3 or 4 reclass juniors that were dynamic playmakers for us. And so while we had 22, mid-20s in the last couple games, there's some good football players there too. Oh, hell yeah. So that all happened from April through July. And so now I'm getting on the front end of it. And my hope
now you get a full cycle.
My hope is to continue that work. We're not done. We're not done until preseason starts.
Oh, hell yeah.
And just continue to open our doors to the right people to see if it's a good fit. So
how does Peddie approach what they try to do to package for players? Like all the prep schools do slightly different things. How do you guys approach it?
It's very similar to the Ivy League, which is which was another draw for me is I want to recruit kids who are motivated across the board. And my North Star in this thing is to put the young men that I have the opportunities to work with in a position to find success, and whatever success may be. And I'm obligated to do that every day. And that's where my efforts are. And part of that is to recruit, we could have a good quarterback, but it doesn't matter if he doesn't have an offensive line protecting for him. Right. And so my obligation, if I am,
those 5 guys up front matter.
Oh yeah. or someone to throw to, or running back to hand the ball off to.
Right,
to take.
Right.
So I'm obligated to them, right, to work as hard as I can to find them the best teammates possible. If my North Star is to put them in a position to find success, well, I got to support them. And so, and that's my pitch, and that's my long-winded answer, Dave, to your question is we're obligated to these kids. And that's how I present it in admissions and in financial aid. And it's not a fit for everyone financially and or academically, but I have to bring enough kids to the party that it is a good fit. We have the ability to be generous from a financial aid standpoint when there is a need, but not everyone does qualify for that need. But some families who don't qualify for financial aid do understand the value of it as well. And so not so dissimilar to the Ivy League, where our best player at Columbia for a number of years didn't get a penny to go to school there. And maybe the 115th kid on the roster didn't pay. Maybe paid $100 to go to school at Columbia. And so it's not always on perceived athletic ability. I do my best to advocate, but understand that I'm not in the room when those things, when those decisions get made. And there is excitement when things go our way and disappointment when they don't.
Right.
But I understand that that's part of it. On in this world that I live in now, but also in the hat that I've worn in the past of coaching in the Ivy League. And so, there are so many similarities at this level to what I've experienced in the past that made it comfortable for me. Right. To be able to, I've weathered some of those storms. And so Peddie can make it affordable. Peddie, the return on investment, that's the thing. No one gave me a manual on what is Peddie, right? What is the Peddie school? I've sat and watched a lot and observed. And they've asked me to be the football coach and wear a couple different hats, but really it's primarily as the football coach. I've had I sit in with our wrestling coach, Austin Frank, who does a great job, and his advisory kit. He has a group of students that he's the advisor for, and that's different than like a guidance counselor. He just is there to make sure they're doing the right things in the classroom, right things on campus, that they're doing okay, that they're doing well. I sit in on these meetings, and these are some impressive young men, right? And I just sit back and I watch and I pay attention and see what's going on. And my takeaway is this place, and again, I'm not going to use the umbrella of independent schools. So just talking about Peddie, and I'm confident it's not so dissimilar to places. Every student that goes to school here is going to go to a 4-year college, 100%. Like that's not an exaggeration. And I don't know, some are going to go to Harvard, some are going to go to Rutgers, some are going to go to UCLA, Michigan, anywhere in between. Someone's going to go to Tufts. Someone's going to, I'll stop with hypothetical schools. What's going to happen when you graduate from Peddie is you will be so ready for wherever it is you decide to go. Mm-hmm. The living away from home, the small classrooms, the expectation of time management, the workload that gets put on these student athletes, how we practice. I run it like a college program to the best of my ability so that, again, when these kids are freshmen at the University of Chicago, that they don't skip a beat, that they hit it running. And you get 4 years in college. I know some right now kids are playing 6 and 7 or whatever. I know, yeah. But
9 if you're counting the kid from Miami, but that's okay. We'll get there.
that's not the goal going into it, right?
Hell no.
You're going to be somewhere for 4 years. You better maximize every single day. And Peddie, with the support that's given to these kids, with what allows them to have the freedom to have some missteps, but get caught, like the nets that are provided to lift them up so they don't make those mistakes again are worth their weight in gold when you go to college. I mean, we all know that, right? Like, how often do you go into I know I'm not going to speak for you guys. Freshman year, wide-eyed, looking around. Like,
oh, God, yeah.
What is going on, right? And I got to wake myself up, and I got to go to, or I don't have to go to class. Right? Or do I? Or what? And then practice is when. I got a meeting when. And you got to figure all that out on your own. This sets them up so that what I used to tell kids when I was working at my last 2 stops at Columbia and Penn, don't come here if you're not going to squeeze every bit of juice out of this orange that you got. Because if what you're going to get on the back end is that much more greater. Right? And it's the same here. Get everything out of Peddie. Take advantage of all the support that it provides, and you will be able to find success that much faster when you go to a 4-year school.
Absolutely.
And that's what makes it so special.
No, and those are some of the intangibles that I think a lot of guys don't understand about it, right? Yeah. Like we're just really how much that prepares you and how much that aids you in that transition into it, right? Like you are so far ahead right? Like, and I'll always compare it, and I'll go back to like my playing career. Like, I was fortunate enough to play at Butler High School, where I had phenomenal high school football coaches, where now my transition to my freshman year at Sacred Heart, when I get into those meeting rooms and all of those types of things, like, so much more than the X and the O's that I was prepared for, because I was so far ahead in that world as well. But the off the field of going to meetings, doing your class, when you had to do your work, when it was okay to take a step back and have some fun. Like, I wouldn't have been as prepared had I not had those guys and those situations for where I came from. And I think you see a lot of that now. Among the other things within college football itself is why you see so many of those guys now go away to school and they're home by Christmas break.
Yeah.
Because that transition, no matter who you are, is difficult and it's hard. But if you now go to an institution like Peddie that sets you up, not just on the field with that aspect of it, but the off the field stuff and nowadays where we see so much more mental health stuff come into play, like this transition to any type of anything that can make it easier is such a bonus. And like you said, the back end of it, right, where those things that you might not think you're getting this out of Peddie, but you really are. And when you look back, say, shit, if I went somewhere else, like, I'm not where I'm at right now, because this school prepared me on and off the field for this level.
I gotta bottle that whole thing you just set up, Derek said, and we're gonna put it on Twitter, okay? As why Peddie. I'm gonna have Derek DePascal tell everybody, make sure that you're spreading the word on what makes Peddie.
Listen, you got to put it from Dave, because he's got.
You
way
don't
more
want to hear how Saddlebrook
do.
prepared me for college, which it did not.
Yes. But you can also take that too, right? And look at, like, there are programs that do it right. Look, and I'll reference the Shore down here, or even, Morris County, where I'm from. You look at the schools that, quote unquote, win every year, right? Like, you can almost predict the high school playoffs of who's going to make it before the season even starts, because those institutions, those schools, they do it a certain way. And if they've done it that way for a really long time, they've continued to tweak little things here and there to keep it going, but they have a process and a track record of what it is. And this is how we do it, and successful. And then you look at some programs that they're all over the place, and maybe they hit on one year, but it's not consistent. And then just look at those players and track those guys for what happens in the next level. And they come back, or it's this, or they play the playing game, right? It's not me, it's this, it's that. It's all of these other things. Had you not been prepared, like, within these certain programs, like, now you're just, you're going backwards rather than forward. And so many parents want to just see the new shiny new penny and jump on it and this and that without doing any of their research, or, trusting in the process and trusting in people that genuinely, care about their players. A lot of these guys say they care about their players, and then, the first picture they post is of themselves coaching. Like, I'll never understand that, right? Like, the whole, like, when we win, it's all you guys. When we lose, it's all on me. Right. That type of mentality to it, I think, is the difference between really good programs and programs not so good. So you can look at the positives and the negatives, the pros and the cons of, extremely, like, situationally. And Dave and I do it all the time when we compare, Butler to Saddlebrook, very similar type places. And, Dave was shocked when we would have Butler guys on here, the amount of viewers and things like that. And I tried to explain to him, dude, it's like a cult up there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but this is what they buy into. This is what they do. And it's track record to be pretty successful. And now you kind of look at Saddlebrook, right? And you can pull out some of the things. Yeah. And it's kind of up and down, up and down, up and down. The consistency, and it's hard because, like, we grew up, or, you just watched Alabama with a hell of a run. Like, that's almost, like, that's not the norm, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to win one game, let alone win national championships consistently, like Nick Saban did, or Alabama did. And now, who's the next one that's going to do that? Right? Like, what's their process and how is it going to work? Is it going to be the Dion route? Is it going to be the Dabo Sweeney route, right? You're seeing these things. Parents need to really do their research and look at like the extensive over a long period type of time success of a program and buy into that. Don't just buy into the shiny new. And it's hard because with social media now, those are the things that are, they're put out on the forefront. Those are the things that we see on a consistent basis. We don't see the programs that are grinding and it's day to day to day to day. That consistency that ultimately leads to success. Everybody just wants a short now fix. And that's just like society. We want everything so now immediate. And you got to really put the work in to sustain something over a long period of time. And I think we're losing a little bit of that.
No doubt. I mean, the other part of it, like you allude to the people wanting the shiny new thing and all that, all of this, it's the opportunities on the back end of this, they're earned on merit. Like that is the other part of this. Like no one is going to, and I work at the Peddie school, so I'm going to use me as the example. No one is going to, just because a student comes to Peddie to play football, that doesn't guarantee anything. Now, what is going to guarantee is I'm going to coach you really hard.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to teach you the game of football to the best of my ability, and my track record, my experience will get eyes on you.
Yes.
You're going to get evaluated based on 26 years of college coaching. You're going to get evaluated. Now it's my responsibility to ask you to do the things that they are looking for in those evaluations. But ultimately, you're going to get recruited based on your ability to perform. And maybe that's the wrong way to say it, but I think that's real for
Coach, I think you're spot on too. It's like, look, I'm coaching Group 3 public school ball down here at Brick Township. A lot of history, a lot of this, a lot of that. I'm with a phenomenal new head coach, Jay Graber, just came from Matawan. Like his approach. I mean, and look, and this is not even specific to us. This is to every parent or person or significant, whoever's responsible for you as the recruit themselves. Just because we as coaches know people, that don't mean shit. I have best friends that coach at the highest level. We're talking about, at christenings, like those types of relationships where I might send him a player and he might not even respond. Right. So like, that's the world we're living in. You can still, just because there's connections, there's still a part that you have to take care of. And even if you do everything right in the recruiting world, you check all the boxes, you do everything we're asking for you, it still might not happen, guys, because that's just how it works in this world. Unfortunately, there's no end all be all. But what I can promise you, I might not be able to promise you, and I never will promise you a scholarship. I'll promise you that I'm going to put you in the best position possible to get what you want. But even ultimately, if it doesn't get there, you still have learned something through this process that's going to aid you in life itself. Right.
And it comes back full circle.
Full circle. And these guys, like, it's really hard for, a 15, 16-year-old kid or a mom or a dad to understand that right now. But I promise you, no matter what we're going through, it's going to help you on the back end.
You're going to be ready. Like, you come back to that preparedness and that being ready for what's next. Like, that's put them in position to find success. They're going to be successful because they came to school here. I promise you.
100%.
You probably have you will. I mean, because you're building.
We're getting there, Dave.
You're going to have high achieving parents. You're going to have high, especially the pay school, the independent schools, that have high expectations for what they would like their kids to accomplish, and then there's varying. All the kids are going to probably eventually come to you, or you're going to want people that obviously not just come from parents that are looking for their kids to be successful, but that their kids mirror that. It's not just the parents that want it, but that the kids mirror that, and the kids mirror the idea that they want to be successful. And then that is the beauty of the prep school. I'm curious as far as two sides of recruiting. You obviously recruiting players that you want, and then the other side of it, colleges coming and recruiting your players. Kind of the first step is obviously what's the process for you in getting players to come to you, and then then the process in helping them, which is probably a much more difficult question because that other world that you used to be in has changed obviously a lot, and you've seen a lot of those changes from a recruiting standpoint,
especially within the Ivy League itself, right, Dave? Like the Ivy League itself in the last couple of years has changed. We're talking about a lot of those guys that graduate in 4 years and now jump and have scholarship offers at Power 4 schools with multiple dollars in their pocket as well. And also you saw the Ivy League just now transition, I guess, pending presidential approval from each one of them. They're going to compete in the FCS playoffs, which, I mean, Dave, we look at it every year like, dude, the winner of the Ivy League is going to be right up there in, if not that Final Four, that final aspect of the FCS playoffs. Like the level of Ivy League stuff, it just kind of trickles down now to the independents. And now you're basically almost doing the same thing.
So what is recruit, like what is kind of your profile of recruiting?
I come back to the first thing that we talked about, kind of my journey. And one of the things that drew me to this place was that I get to recruit. Like, and there's no skirting around that. Like that.
Hell no.
It's our lifeblood. Where maybe it's a little taboo in other levels of high school football to talk about recruiting. Like I have to recruit in order to build a roster. And there is no cookie cutter answer to where and how. Like it is this changes the game. Like the cell phone and social media changes the game. And so I'm recruiting from a lot of different pools right now. I'm recruiting a lot of local 8th graders who have demonstrated an interest in us. And that's
pivotal.
Yes. And try to build and regardless of the pool that I'm recruiting from, Dave, it's all about building relationships. And it's not about what
you win with people.
It's not about the facts of Peddie, right? And I can tell you the class size and our endowment and our facilities and all that. Like we have a phenomenal weight room. Like you got to see this. I mean, it's brand new in August. I mean, it is a college weight room. It's unbelievable, right? But just because we have a great weight room doesn't mean you're going to get strong, right? You can get strong in your garage. A lot of people did it during COVID. Right.
Yeah, and we saw it a mile up the road, Dave.
You can have a crummy weight room and get and still reap the rewards. Right. And so, my whole thing with this recruiting is it's not about that. It's not about telling people how good we have it here. It's about finding what's important to them. Right. And building off of it. And not every relationship ends up in yielding a student athlete here. But if I can be a resource to them in their journey or to their parents, it only helps me and it only helps them. Right. And so we get to a place where they're comfortable, parents are comfortable, trusting that this is what's best for their sons, whether they're in 8th grade. Okay. I recruit a lot from kids who are playing high school football in Canada because the Canadian kids aren't considered international at Peddie. So that helps with the financial aid.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then they have an interest in coming to the U.S. For exposure. So where do they go? They're not going to go to Butler or Saddlebrook. They need a boarding aspect. So they look at the independent schools. And
quick question, Coach, you're freshman through senior, right? Like there's no middle school?
9 through 12 with the ability to support 4 postgraduates. And so the 4 postgrads then become position needs. And all along the way, so we're recruiting the 8th graders, we're recruiting the student athletes from Canada. I know that there's going to be 4 post grads that are going to be they've got to be your, using a baseball analogy, your 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters. Like they've got to be those guys.
Oh yeah. Your 4 post grads got to be dudes.
Yes. And so, because of the timing of this, I can be very position specific to fill needs for that this year. And so are targeting some guys there, but then now have to then fortify the roster with the Canadian kids in conjunction with reclass kids, which is the other part of this. Like you talk about trying to be ready for what's next, is maybe doing a 5th year of high school will help that. And so we get a lot of guys that reclass as 9th graders or reclass as 11th graders. And so they redo their junior year instead of moving on to their senior year. And so you can't do that at your own high school. So you need a place to go. And so it is a constant DM on Instagram and Twitter.
Constant.
It is doing Zooms. It is just making yourself available and building relationships to get to a point where will you apply? And then if both for admissions and financial aid. And then if and when you do, keeping my fingers crossed that it ends up being favorable. But along the way, all we've done is built a relationship, and that is a positive thing as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
And so, there is no one answer to it, but to how, other than I don't believe in sharing facts. That's not, I don't give a laundry list reason why Peddie is the perfect place for anybody, any parent or any kid. I just let them know that I'm going to take care of their sons and work my butt off to help them on their journey. And really that's all that I can do. And if that's
all
good
you can
enough,
control, really, right? Like there's a lot that, we talk about all the time, control the controllables.
Yep.
Here's what I can control. Here's what I can do for your son or whatever, and whatever sport is working for Peddie itself, right? Because I'm sure collectively as an athletic department, right? Like you want people that are, all the same vision, all the same type of kid, right? And that kind of goes across the board, which is, a little bit harder. I've seen, obviously, I've been fortunate enough to be in a private school setting, in a public school setting, and all these other times. When you can get a culture within a building, right? And now, every sport is kind of aligned rather than every coach kind of doing their own little thing here, right? Like those have been the most successful places that I've been where, sports still need to matter, right? In terms of a bigger picture, there's a reason that there's an athletic director, right? And other guys are, supervisors of history or supervisors of language art, right? Like, but there's an athletic director. So I'm literally paying a guy a salary to worry about athletics. So if people don't think athletics matter within a building itself, like that guy is he's just as much, right? Like principal, vice principals, athletic director, right? Like that stuff all matters across the board when you're talking about bigger picture. Right. And then those are the types of, there has to be, I always thought this, my viewpoint on recruiting is there's got to be both of us have to want it. Yeah. In order for it to really, really work. And what I can do is I can disclose, some of the things I think you want and what we can offer here. And if that works for you, let's go. Right. I'm all in. But if it doesn't, I'm also not going to sit here and waste my time, right? Pounding the dirt, pounding the pavement to force something on somebody that doesn't really want it and then ultimately won't work out in the long run, because that's wasting both of our times.
No doubt. No, I'm with you.
Is recruiting, coach, changing now? So when recruiting your players, I mean, I know it's changed a lot, but is there anything changing from that standpoint with respect to how they're recruiting prep school players? Is that changing at all? Or
well, there's a lot going on right now, and I know you guys are well aware, but it is so trite, right, to blame things on NIL and the transfer portal, but I'm going to. because I mean, for the first time, the BCS schools did not recruit off campus in the month of December.
Right.
And so FBS schools were in a dead period till 2025. Everyone recruited from their desks. And they had quiet periods where students could come take official visits at their places, but they weren't allowed to recruit. So our guys who here had strong senior seasons, didn't have a single FBS school be able to come and even eyeball our 6'7", 210-pound quarterback. Like nobody's been able to, an FBS school hasn't been able to see him in person.
Say that again, Coach. Size measurables. What was that?
6'7", 210.
There you go, Dave.
And so, I mean,
yeah, not bad. Like measurables alone. Here you go. Every power four.
And then FCS had a limited contact period. They were recruiting from their desks as well, trying to replace the kids who were going up. And so it just
is that because of the transfer portal period?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Dave, the calendar, right? And we've talked about this numerous times in every level college coach that comes D3, D2, NAIA, even JUCOs. The calendar itself is so out of right. Like you got an early signing day and then the portal opens and these guys are still like playing games.
So I just want to understand. When the portal opens, they're not allowed. So they're not allowed to go off campus. So like, for example, like when you were probably being recruited and when I was being recruited, I got almost all my offers in December. Okay?
Yeah. Doesn't happen.
So, I mean, that was old school. That was, I know everybody gets early offers now, but they don't even do that anymore now. They can't do that. Okay.
No. And so this year, if you weren't offered in the summer,
right,
it was gonna be tough. Now, it was gonna be difficult, and so it was eye opening. And now we got to see what we can do because we've got good players, and they're good players. They are, and it again, they come up with the same stuff. But I apologize for the cliches, but they're good people. They're good players, and they are phenomenal teammates, like the best teammates that anybody could ask for. And I just want people to see them. And now, the other hard part is the roster size being trimmed has eliminates walk-ons from the FBS.
Yeah, those PWO program. Spots you buy.
So everything is kind of shifting, and I don't know if. And I don't want to, again, speak for anybody, but I don't know if anybody knows what it's supposed to look like yet.
I don't think anybody does.
Size, we're not able to recruit 12th graders.
Right.
You know, like where everybody is shifting. You know, nobody's developing. Nobody is recruit and develop. It's because as soon as you develop somebody, they're going to get taken.
Gone. Right. Think about taking that high school kid that's a 3-star, 2-star, 1-star that like, look, I need to work with him for a year. Then he can probably play some specials for me. And then junior year, he'll have that opportunity in camp to maybe win a job, or he's just a package player and he's only in on this or that. College coaches now, and I've said this numerous times, are being so squeezed to win immediately that rather than take that high school kid and put him through the process of development, I'll take a portal kid that's 2 years ahead. And now rather than playing special teams, he's already in the mix to come in, or I'm going to pay him a certain number. So I definitely get him. And now it's like, hey, you're starting. And that's kind of the world we're living in. And then I got to wait to see who's in the portal. And then if I can get this guy, okay, now I can go and recruit a linebacker. Like it's position specific. It's everything's getting squeezed and pushed to now. Look, if you're a 2025 without an offer by the summer going into your senior year, I'm almost telling guys now, like, don't expect one. Like that's
where we can help too for the class of 2026. The reclass it has to stabilize at some. I hope. You know. I hope.
We're praying for it as well.
the other question I have is on so when coaches can come off campus, and I'll use this as an example because this is just one of the examples I know. Dion he did all his recruiting literally from leveraging his prestige, obviously, and using the phone basically. Never went off campus to recruit. Landed obviously some big players, and basically they had to kind of come to that. Is that also something that you see may become an issue? Like they're not visiting your school, so they don't get to see your 6'7" quarterback that he actually is 6'7", right? Like,
hey, he's not 6'7" in cleats here.
Well,
he's 6'7", dude.
Because you obviously coached college so many years. Whatever the high school coach
you're subtracting inches and weight.
They're subtracting 2 inches from it because you don't believe that it's true, right? And that's the hard thing.
I know this tape is sped up a little bit.
And,
come on now.
No doubt. I mean, but and not everyone is a Colorado recruit. Not everyone is. Not
it's got to be the right fit.
Well, no, I think Dion can do that.
Right.
Yes.
Bill Belichick can do that.
Right.
And now, Coach, like we said, you're starting to see some of these other programs. I'm hiring Michael Vick. I'm hiring Deshaun Jackson.
Right, but I come back to like I truly believe in building a team.
Yes.
And that's not that Dion or Bill Belichick, like I'm not.
Yeah.
I think I can build the relationships to get enough kids excited about a place. And I think that their competition, whomever it may be, is gonna recruit a certain way to try to counteract the fact that Dion is FaceTiming once a night. Well, then we're gonna have to do something to try to, and maybe it's in person. Maybe it's I don't
almost
know.
have to find your niche.
They're just creative ways to find ways to compete and win, and right now, like there are big dogs that we're competing against that are recruiting the same kids. That I have to find a niche that will get someone excited about Peddie, the potential of coming to Peddie. That doesn't mean they're necessarily going to come, but I got to get them excited about the potential of coming to Peddie. And then do something a little bit different than our competition, just in terms of outreach or relationship building that is important to each individual to try and get it to a point where he wants to come to school. But yes, not necessarily what you're asking, Dave, but like it's a real thing that that people are not as much boots on the ground as they once were.
Which is crazy, right? Because those guys, I mean, look, season ends the next day, my bags are packed and I'm on the road and I'm hitting, I got to hit 20 schools in the DMV area. And this guy's got this prospect and hey, the head coach is going to fly down and meet you here, but then he's off to go do whatever somewhere else. It's so different, right? Because look, at a program like where I'm at, where it's mainly a lot of D3 guys or D2 guys, like there's still boots on the ground. Whereas these higher levels, it's all different. And I'm still coaching our team to win a bowl game while, the other guys are off doing recruiting stuff or we're here now. And look, Dave and I have talked about this numerous times where now you look at higher level college programs, the staff's expanding and really coaches are going to coach. And then you're going to have guys that are, like you're talking about Andrew Luck becoming the GM of Stanford, where he's going to have total control of the entire program, above a head coach. Dude, you coach, do the X's and O's. We'll handle the pool of players that you're going to have. Staffs are expanding. There are guys that are going to be responsible for recruiting high school kids. You're going to be responsible for recruiting portal kids. You're going to be finding niches or whatever. It's just crazy to see how it's all changing and at the speed that it's changing. Where, look, even if you had a son who graduated a year ago, and you went through the whole recruiting thing, it's different for now. Your son who's coming up through it now, right? Like, I can't even imagine what it's going to look like when Dave's son, who's 10, who's going to be a freaking high-level recruit. I'm calling it.
Yeah,
9.
I'm pushing him here, Dave, right?
He's 9, though. And Peddie,
Dave still wants me to be a quarterback, Coach, but
if Coach is still
I will stand on my damn podium that this kid's going to be a power 4 safety. I promise you. Like, I'm rolling with that. So he gets 3 snaps every series.
But I know Derek wants him at safety.
This has been a battle for years already, Coach. It's only going to
continue. So one question I had before because I don't want to hold you too much longer. One other question I had is your experience in college, right? When you now as a prep school coach call up, your friends that are coaching in college, obviously you have guys at all levels, and you call them up and say that you have a player that you think is good. I wonder if you experience at all, and obviously it's your first year, so it's new, but do you even run into some things that like a high school coach without your level of experience run into where you say, hey, I got this guy, I think you play your level, and a guy's like, oh, all right, I'll take a look, and then you're surprised because you coach at Division I, and does that happen to you? I'm curious.
It does. It does. And it's
right.
And it's you wonder, I don't know what's going on the other end of the call. Like where is that person? Like what is going through their mind in that moment when I say, these kids would fit, or this one individual would fit any place I've ever coached. Right? Like that. And I'm speaking with coaches who are at places that are comparable to places that I have coached.
Absolutely.
And then it kind of falls on deaf ears. And so I just have to be persistent. And I have to understand, I don't know what they're looking for. I don't know what is the current dynamic, do they have a kid hanging on their leg, or are they getting ripped by their AD, or whatever it might be, or this is the perfect time to have that conversation. You never know.
Right.
And so I just have to be persistent, because it does happen, and it's disappointing and frustrating,
and probably surprising a little bit, right?
It is, but
I get it, so right? Like even for Dave, even for us, think about Dave. Like, you've been in this world, right, for so long. You're talking about, 250 camps nationally where you're working with guys like
I'm used to it. Like
we definitely are. And I understand it though. Like,
when I was an NFL agent for 6 years, I tell this to Derek all the time. What I really learned was that, number one, persistence is really important. But number two, their process is so concrete, meaning it's like yes and no. It's like yes and no. If there's a maybe, that's rare, and then or I need to talk to somebody, that's rare. But the definitive nature of everything taught me that people have an understanding of where they want to go with certain things already, and if you're injecting something into their process, they may have that person on their board, and great. Okay, now this is a confirmation that this guy is someone. This person also believes in this person, right? But if they're not in that process and they know you, they're probably going to take a look, but it may not be at this moment, right? Or they may not have a space at all, and you, like you said, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, right? So, but that taught me a lot. Like I always, like, the best experience I ever had as far as understanding how football worked from one side of it was when I was an agent, and it was amazing because you would have great players that would get in, and then you would have great players that wouldn't get in, and you had to learn like what was really required and what each individual team. People don't realize it. It's the same way in college to an extent. They don't realize that 32 NFL teams have 32 different things they're looking at, which people think, oh, the draft is like this, and this is, it's going to go by the board. No, there's 32 different sets of needs, right? And college the same way. And that's why I asked that question, because I'm curious, as someone who coached in college at a really high level and was on one side of it, right?
Yeah.
If now that you were experiencing the other side of it, because when you recommend someone, everybody knows if you're calling up about them, there's a pretty good bet that guy can play at that level. Yeah. It's just whether those guys have the capacity, to take them on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they don't do it to stick it to you. You know what I mean? I don't.
Although sometimes I definitely feel that way when I get ghosted, and it's like, hey, dude, I was at your kid's baptism, and you can't even tell me, like, nah, not for me, or you, like, especially with everybody walks around with their phone in their hand, like, how do I not take this personal? But I also understand,
I know you're
answering to somebody else, right? And look, and Dave and I have this conversation all the time. There's a lot of coaches, high school coaches in New Jersey, that feel a certain type of way about Greg Schiano because he doesn't recruit their best player. And every coach in New Jersey feels like their best guy should have a free ride to Rutgers because it's the state school and this. But he has a calculated way of who he recruits, how he does it. And if you don't fit into those measurables or those boxes, you ain't getting recruited. And I just feel like a lot of high school coaches don't understand why that process is the way it is, but it is. That's how it works.
Exactly. He gets paid a lot of money to win football games, and has a track record of being able to do it. And in order to do it next year, he's got to continue to win, and none of it is.
He's got to look 3 years down the road and project.
Personal. Like, it is what it is. And it stinks because, again, my obligation is to my players. My obligation is to do everything that I can to help them find a home that they are excited about. And so we just have to keep making those calls because someone will take it. Someone's going to be lucky to have it. Like, I know that someone's going to be lucky to have these kids. And I'm going to be proud wherever they end up because I know they're going to do it the right way when they get there,
No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Because Peddie itself has prepared them for those things.
See, let's go. Sign them up.
That's it. It's been great having you on, Coach. It's exciting to see what you're doing. I know you got in that conference, between Hun, Blair, and you guys. Lawrenceville.
Yep.
There's a battle.
I mean, look, and you jumped the border, Dave, right into Connecticut, where prep school is still a thing in Connecticut, where there's a lot of prep schools up there that, are very comparable to it. And it's right across the border. And it's, look, like you said, you're very centrally located. So location itself, you drive an hour in any direction and you're hitting on an appeal for someone in some way, shape, or form. I mean, Coach, like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time and opening the eyes of a lot of our viewers that, this is another route, right? And it's a highly successful one on the back end if you want to make this choice.
No, thank you guys. I mean, it's fun to catch up. Regardless, it's neat that we're
absolutely, Coach.
It's just a good running conversation, and I appreciate the opportunity to catch up with you guys. It's been forever, and so again, I mentioned it while we were off. This is the first time I get to see Coach Schuman face to face. I was chasing him throughout my high school years, trying to keep up on the high school track. I don't know if I ever caught him.
Not to mention playing against some of the highest level coaches in the state themselves, right? When they had helmets on too. So,
oh my gosh. Lining up against Vito and Dan Sabella was something else. So it's neat. Coach, it's a neat fraternity that we get to be a part of.
It really is.
People.
No doubt about it. Hey, Coach, have a great new year. Enjoy. Now, do you live down there? Do you live?
Yeah, I live on campus.
Yes, I figured.
Wow, look at you. That's awesome. Cool. This is like school ties up here.
Yeah, exactly.
That is.
Get Brandon Frazier to come play quarterback.
That's it, buddy. Yeah, you can do a cameo. Come on back, buddy. Come on back.
Yeah.
All
Happy
right,
New
Coach.
Year, guys.
Have a great New Year. We'll
Coach,
see you
you
soon.
too. Enjoy your day. We'll talk soon. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.